Your soulmate secretly wrote you a love letter. Read it before tomorrow, because their biggest confession is inside. My beloved child, don't skip, stay till the end, because something huge is waiting. Your soulmate has been holding back words they could never say out loud, and somehow, those words have found their way to you now. This is not an ordinary love letter. It carries a confession that has been hidden behind silence, distance, and countless moments when they almost reached out but stopped themselves. Don't skip, because the deepest line of this letter is still ahead, and once you hear it, you may understand why this message had to reach you before tomorrow. Their heart has been trying to tell you something for longer than you realize. I tried to act like you were just another person passing through my life, but every time I imagined my future, somehow you were standing inside it. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. There is one truth they kept rewriting, deleting, and hiding because admitting it would change everything between you. And tonight, that truth refuses to stay hidden. What comes next is the sentence they were most afraid to write. You became important to me before I was ready to admit how much you mattered. Think about that carefully. Your soulmate may have appeared calm while carrying feelings far deeper than their actions revealed. They may have remembered tiny things about you that you assumed nobody noticed, the way your energy changes when something is on your mind, the little details that make you different, the moments when your presence somehow makes everything feel lighter. Don't skip. The letter becomes even more revealing here. There were so many times I wanted to tell you. I almost did. But every time the moment came, I wondered whether you could possibly feel the same. That hesitation became silence. But silence never erased the feeling. Something huge is waiting for you, because the biggest confession is not simply that they cared. It is what they secretly wished for every time they thought about you. And now the letter reaches the part they could barely put into words. If I could ask for one chance, I would not ask to change our past. I would ask for the chance to show you what I was too afraid to reveal. Stay till the end, because this is only the beginning of what they wrote. There is another confession hidden deeper in this letter, and it explains why tomorrow feels so important. Your soulmate has imagined one particular moment with you again and again. A moment when there is no pretending, no uncertainty, and no unfinished sentence standing between two hearts. Don't skip, because what they admit next changes the meaning of everything you have heard so far. They wrote one final line before stopping, as though even putting it on paper made the feeling suddenly real. If you ever wondered whether someone secretly hoped you would choose them, you were never imagining it. But that is not their biggest confession. Not even close. The words that come next reveal what they have secretly wanted to tell you all along, and why they believe there may never be another moment quite like this one. There is something else hidden between the lines, my beloved child, and this is where the letter becomes almost impossible to put down. Don't skip, because your soulmate didn't write these next words casually. They wrote them after realizing that staying silent was becoming harder than admitting the truth. I kept wondering why, out of everyone I could have met, you became the person my mind returned to when everything around me went quiet. But that was only the beginning. They confessed that certain memories of you stayed with them far longer than you could imagine. A look. A conversation. A tiny moment you may have forgotten completely. Somehow, those ordinary seconds became extraordinary to them. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They wrote, "You probably never noticed how many times I wanted to say more. I would start the sentence inside my mind, then stop because I knew that once I told you the truth, I could never pretend my feelings were small again." And now comes the surprising part: they were never afraid of the feeling itself. They were afraid of how deeply that feeling had already grown. But then the letter suddenly changes. The words become more vulnerable, more personal, as though your soulmate finally stopped protecting the secret they had carried for so long. "I need you to know something I have never been able to explain. You didn't become special because of one perfect moment. You became special through 100 little moments that kept adding up until I realized my heart had already made a choice before my mind understood it. Don't skip. The biggest confession is getting closer." They admit that they imagined telling you everything, but every imagined conversation ended at the same question: what if you never knew how much you truly meant to them? That thought stayed with them. And that is why this letter exists. If these words ever reach you, I want you to understand that you were never just a passing thought. There were days when one memory of you could change my entire mood. There were nights when I wondered whether somewhere, somehow, you were thinking about me too. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. And the next sentence reveals something they had promised themselves they would never admit. Then came the line that changed the entire meaning of the letter: "The truth is, I wasn't waiting for someone better. I was quietly hoping life would bring me closer to you." Don't skip, because even that is not the biggest confession. Your soulmate wrote that if they ever received one completely honest moment with you, they already knew exactly what they would say. No rehearsed words. No pretending. No hiding behind uncertainty. They would look at you and finally reveal why every attempt to forget these feelings only made them clearer. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because the final section of their letter contains the sentence they hesitated longest to write. They crossed it out, wrote it again, and finally left it there because removing it felt like hiding the truth one more time. And that sentence begins with words you were never supposed to hear this soon: "If tomorrow gave me the courage I didn't have yesterday, there is one thing I would finally ask you." What they wanted to ask changes everything, because it reveals that this letter was never simply about confessing feelings. Your soulmate has been secretly hoping for something much bigger. And the next part reveals exactly what it is. Now the letter reaches the words your soulmate almost refused to write: "My beloved child," because this is where everything they kept hidden begins to come into the light. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Their unfinished question continues like this: "If tomorrow finally gave me enough courage, I would ask you whether there could ever be a place for me in the future you secretly imagine." Read that again in your heart, because they were not thinking about one conversation or one beautiful moment. They were thinking beyond that. They imagined what it would feel like to stop wondering, stop hiding, and finally discover whether this connection could become something real. Then they admitted something surprising: "I tried to convince myself that time would make this feeling smaller. Instead, time showed me exactly how important you had become." Every quiet moment brought the same realization back. Every attempt to move their thoughts elsewhere somehow returned them to you. And there is one reason they believe you may have felt something too: a tiny moment between you that they have never forgotten. Don't skip, because the letter is about to reveal why that moment became unforgettable. What they wrote next feels like the secret center of the entire letter. There was a moment when I looked at you and everything around us seemed to disappear for a second. Maybe it meant nothing to you. But to me, something changed. From that moment forward, your soulmate began noticing things differently. Your voice stayed in their thoughts after conversations ended. Your smallest kindness carried more meaning. Even ordinary memories somehow became the ones they returned to most. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They continued, I never needed you to be perfect. I only wanted you to know that being yourself was already enough to make you unforgettable to me. And then came the sentence they had been avoiding. Sometimes I wondered whether you were waiting for me to say something too. That question followed them through every missed opportunity. Maybe there were moments when both of you almost understood what was happening, yet neither wanted to be the first to break the silence. But your soulmate has reached a point where silence no longer feels easier than truth. And before this letter ends, they intend to reveal the one thing they have never admitted to anyone about you. Then the handwriting becomes more certain, as if they finally decided there was no reason left to hide. Here is what I could never say before. When I imagined the person I would want beside me during the most meaningful chapters of my life, somehow my thoughts kept choosing you. Don't skip. This is where the confession becomes bigger than attraction, bigger than curiosity, and bigger than a temporary feeling. They were imagining the little things, laughing over something nobody else understands, talking when the rest of the world feels distant, remembering details about each other, and experiencing that rare feeling of being completely understood. But one final truth remains. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate ended this page with a sentence that leads directly into the deepest part of the letter. There is something I want from you, but it isn't a promise, and it isn't an answer. I only want one honest moment where neither of us hides what we truly feel. And beneath those words, they added one last line, because if I am right about what has been quietly growing between us, then tomorrow could be the beginning of something neither of us expected. But what they reveal after that is the confession they saved for the very end, the confession that explains why they wrote this letter in the first place. And suddenly, my beloved child, the letter becomes more emotional than anything your soulmate has written before. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They finally reveal why these words had to be written now. I reached a point where keeping this inside felt harder than telling you the truth. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but I know I don't want another tomorrow to arrive while you still have no idea what you mean to me. That is the secret behind this entire letter. They were not searching for perfect words. They were searching for enough courage to finally be understood. Every unfinished conversation, every quiet thought, every moment when they almost revealed their feelings has been leading toward this confession. And then they write something completely unexpected. If you ever thought my silence meant I didn't care, you misunderstood me. Sometimes I was quiet because I cared more than I knew how to explain. Stay till the end. The biggest revelation is still coming, and it changes everything they have confessed so far. Then comes the sentence they kept hidden until almost the final page. You became the person I secretly hoped I wouldn't have to forget. Don't skip, because this is where their heart finally stops hiding. They admit that they wondered what would happen if the two of you ever had one completely honest conversation, without hesitation, without guessing, without pretending that nothing meaningful was happening beneath the surface. "I don't need a perfect moment," they wrote. "I only wish you could see yourself through my eyes for a few seconds. You would understand why your presence stayed with me." And then the confession grows even deeper. "I never wanted some impossible story. I wanted something genuine. Something where two people could finally admit that meeting each other changed something inside them. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate is about to reveal the one sentence they imagined saying directly to you countless times but never found the courage to speak." The final lines on this page are simple, but they carry everything your soulmate has been trying to say. "If I stood in front of you tomorrow and had only one chance to be completely honest, I would tell you this: you mattered to me long before you knew it, and part of me has been hoping that somehow I mattered to you too. Stay till the end, because the letter still has one final secret." Your soulmate did not end it with goodbye. They left space beneath their confession, almost as though the story was intentionally unfinished. Then, at the very bottom, they wrote, "Maybe the most important part of this letter isn't what I confessed. Maybe it is what happens after you finally know. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you, because there is still one final page, and on that page is the biggest confession of all, the one that reveals exactly what your soulmate has secretly been hoping will happen between you next. But the final page begins differently, my beloved child, because your soulmate is no longer hiding behind unfinished sentences. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you." The first words read, "There is one truth I saved until the end because once I say it, you will finally understand everything." They admit that this letter was never written just to reveal feelings. It was written because they could no longer imagine carrying those feelings forward without giving you the chance to know they existed. "I kept waiting for the perfect sign, the perfect moment, the perfect words. Then I realized something: the perfect moment may never arrive unless someone is brave enough to create it." And suddenly every previous line makes sense. Every memory they held on to, every conversation they replayed, every moment they almost spoke but remained silent was leading here. Don't skip, because the confession you have been waiting for is finally coming, and it is much deeper than 3 simple words. Then your soulmate writes, "My biggest secret is not that I think about you. It is that somewhere inside me, I started imagining what life might feel like if you stayed. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you." They imagined ordinary moments rather than impossible perfection, conversations that last longer than expected, laughter over things only the two of you understand, quiet moments where nothing needs explaining, and the comfort of knowing that someone genuinely wants to be there. "That is what surprised me most," they continued. "I wasn't dreaming about one extraordinary day with you. I was thinking about ordinary days becoming extraordinary simply because you were part of them. And then comes another revelation: maybe you never realized it, but you changed what I started hoping for." Your soulmate had been asking themselves one question again and again: if both hearts were given one completely honest opportunity, could this unfinished story finally become something neither person has to hide? And now, my beloved child, comes the line they saved for last. Don't skip. Read it as though these words were placed here specifically for this moment. if there is even a small part of you that has wondered about me too, then perhaps our story was never waiting for an ending. Perhaps it was waiting for someone to finally begin it. That is why tomorrow mattered so much in this letter. Not because everything must suddenly change, but because your soulmate no longer wants another day to pass with the most important truth left unspoken. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you, and here it is. Their final confession reads, "I cannot promise where this story leads, but I know what my heart has been trying to tell me. Meeting you became one of those rare moments I never wanted to mean nothing." And beneath it, one final sentence remains. If our paths are meant to move closer, I hope the next chapter begins with honesty, because I have finally stopped hiding mine. Just when you thought the letter had revealed everything, my beloved child, there is one final message written on the back of the last page, and somehow, these words carry more emotion than everything before them. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate writes, "There is something I need you to understand before you close this letter. I never expected one person to leave such a powerful impression on my heart without even trying. They remember moments you may consider completely ordinary, yet those became the moments they treasured most. A simple conversation. A familiar smile. The feeling that something about you was different before they could even explain why. Then comes the surprising truth. I spent so much time wondering whether I should forget what I felt that I never stopped to ask myself why my heart kept returning to the same answer. And that answer was you. But don't skip, because there is still one sentence they have never allowed themselves to say, not even inside the pages you have already heard. The next words feel almost like your soulmate is finally speaking directly instead of writing. If you were standing in front of me right now, I wouldn't give you some perfect speech. I would simply tell you that knowing you changed something inside me. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. They confess that what they want most is not some impossible promise about the future. They want one genuine chance to discover what could happen if both of you stopped hiding behind uncertainty. Maybe we would talk for hours. Maybe we would finally laugh about all the moments when we almost understood each other. Maybe we would discover that the connection I was afraid to name was quietly becoming meaningful to both of us. Then they write the line that makes everything before it feel different. I wasn't afraid that you would know I cared. I was afraid that I would wait too long to tell you. Don't skip, because their final revelation is closer than ever. And then, my beloved child, the letter ends with words they wanted you to remember long after the final page. If tomorrow comes and nothing around us looks different, remember that something has already changed. You finally know the truth I kept hidden. Your soulmate does not ask you to make a promise. They do not ask you to predict what happens next. They simply leave you with one unforgettable confession. Out of all the people I could have met, you became the person I secretly wished I had met at exactly the right time. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Beneath that sentence is one tiny handwritten line, almost as if it was added after the letter was finished. And if life gives me one more beautiful opportunity with you, this time I don't want silence to speak for me. That is where the writing stops. But somehow, the story does not. Because perhaps the greatest secret inside this love letter was never only what your soulmate felt. It was the possibility that somewhere between their hidden feelings and your unanswered questions, a completely new chapter has been waiting to begin. Then something unexpected appears, my beloved child, a final folded note that was never meant to be noticed so quickly. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Across the top, your soulmate has written, if you found this, then you deserve to know what I was still too nervous to place inside the letter. And suddenly the confession goes deeper. They reveal that their feelings were not created in one dramatic moment. They grew quietly, through little memories that became impossible to forget. I noticed when your presence started changing the atmosphere around me. I noticed when hearing from you could make an ordinary day feel different. And eventually I noticed something even bigger. I had stopped wondering whether you were special to me. I was wondering what I would do if I never told you. Don't skip, because the next line reveals the question they have secretly carried for longer than you realize. What if the person I keep trying not to think about is the person my heart has been trying to recognize all along? But the note does not stop there. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate continues, there were moments when I almost convinced myself to leave these feelings unspoken forever. Then one memory of you would return, and suddenly I would remember why that felt impossible. They confess that what stayed with them most was never perfection. It was the feeling of authenticity around you, the sense that something meaningful could exist without needing to be forced. And then comes a sentence they had never written anywhere else. Sometimes I imagined meeting you again after a long time, and the first thing I wondered was whether our eyes would still recognize everything our words never said. Don't skip. Because immediately beneath that sentence, they admit something even more surprising. If that moment ever happens, I don't want to walk away wondering again. For the first time, their letter is no longer about what they felt yesterday. It is about what they hope to do when the next opportunity arrives. And here, my beloved child, the hidden note reaches the confession that changes the entire story. I finally understand what I was waiting for. I wasn't waiting for my feelings to disappear. I was waiting to become brave enough to accept them. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate writes that if life places the two of you in the same meaningful moment again, they want to be different this time. More honest, more present, and no longer afraid of what a sincere connection could become. Then comes the final line, maybe tomorrow changes nothing. Maybe it changes everything. But if I ever get the chance to tell you what these pages could only whisper, I want you to hear it directly from me. And beneath those words, almost hidden at the edge of the paper, is one last sentence, because the biggest confession was never that you entered my thoughts. It was that somewhere along the way, you became someone I quietly hoped would remain in my story. Yet even now, one question remains unanswered, and the answer could reveal what your soulmate secretly imagines happening when you finally meet again. Here is where everything turns, my beloved child, because the unanswered question at the bottom of that hidden note finally has an answer. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate writes, when I imagine seeing you again, I don't imagine some perfect scene. I imagine one quiet second when our eyes meet and we both realize there are things we can no longer pretend we never felt. They have replayed that possibility more times than they would ever admit. Not because they know exactly what will happen, but because there is something about you that made them wonder whether certain connections arrive quietly before they become impossible to ignore. Then comes the sentence they saved for this exact page: if I could choose one thing to happen when we meet again, I would choose honesty. No guessing. No unfinished words. No wondering what the other person meant. Just one genuine moment where everything hidden finally has room to be spoken. But don't skip, because what they want to tell you in that moment is far more surprising than you think. Then the words become softer, but somehow stronger. I would tell you that you never had to do anything extraordinary to become unforgettable to me. You simply became unforgettable by being yourself. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate admits there were times they tried to understand why their thoughts kept returning to you, and eventually they stopped searching for complicated explanations. Maybe some people simply leave a different kind of mark, they wrote. Maybe some conversations stay with us because they touched something we didn't know we were waiting to feel. And then comes the revelation: they have secretly imagined what your first completely honest conversation would sound like. They imagined telling you about all the moments they almost reached out, all the words they nearly said, and all the times they wondered whether you noticed the same unspoken connection. Don't skip, because one particular sentence keeps appearing in their imagination: I wish I had told you sooner that meeting you meant more to me than I ever showed. And now, my beloved child, the final lines reveal what they secretly hope happens next. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate writes, I don't want to rush the story. I don't want to force an ending before we have even discovered the next chapter. I only want the opportunity to find out what honesty between us could become. That is the heart of their confession. They are not asking for perfection. They are hoping for possibility. Then, underneath everything else, they leave one sentence that changes the meaning of the entire letter: if you ever wondered whether you were worth someone choosing with intention, I hope one day I get the chance to show you how deeply you can be valued. Don't skip, because there is still something they haven't revealed. At the very bottom of the page, written smaller than everything else, are 6 words that lead into the deepest secret yet: there is one more thing, though, and whatever comes after those words may be the most unforgettable confession in the entire letter. There is one more thing, my beloved child, and this is the line your soulmate hesitated over longer than anything else in the entire letter. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Beneath those 6 words, they finally continued, I never told you this, but there was a moment when I realized losing the possibility of us would affect me more than I wanted to admit. That realization changed everything. Until then, they could pretend these feelings were temporary, that time would eventually make them smaller. But suddenly they understood why every attempt to move past the thought of you kept bringing them back. It was never only about missing a person. It was about wondering what might have happened if both of you had been completely honest at the right moment. Then comes the sentence they almost erased: somewhere inside me, I started hoping that our unfinished story was unfinished for a reason. Don't skip, because what they reveal next is the closest they have ever come to telling you exactly what they want. The next lines feel different, almost as if the distance between the writer and the reader disappears. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. If I could sit beside you for one honest conversation, would finally tell you that I remember more than you probably think. I remember the little moments. I remember the feeling of wanting time to slow down. I remember leaving certain conversations wishing I had said one more thing. And that one thing kept changing until it became a single truth. They wanted to know whether you had ever felt that same quiet pull. Don't skip. Your soulmate writes, maybe I misunderstood everything. Maybe I didn't. But there were moments when something in your eyes made me wonder whether I was the only one hiding words. That question became impossible for them to forget. And then comes an even bigger confession. If I ever discover that you felt even a fraction of what I felt, I will wish I had found my courage sooner. Yet they are not finished. One final sentence waits underneath, separated from everything else, as though it deserves to stand alone. And this, my beloved child, is where the letter reaches the truth they were trying to reach from the very first page. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They wrote. I don't know whether our story becomes a lifetime, a beautiful chapter, or simply one unforgettable truth, but I know meeting you changed the way I understand connection. They no longer want to hide behind imagined conversations. They want whatever comes next to be genuine. If tomorrow gives us another opportunity, I want to meet that moment differently. I want to say what I mean. I want to listen to what you truly feel. And most of all, I never want silence to make our choices for us again. Then comes the final surprise. Beneath their signature, your soulmate added a sentence after they had apparently finished the entire letter. If you are still reading, then there is one confession I saved only for the person who stayed until the very end. But the confession itself is not written there. Instead, a tiny arrow points toward one final folded page, and what is written inside could completely change the meaning of every word that came before. Now the final folded page opens, my beloved child, and the very first sentence feels different from everything your soulmate has written before. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They wrote, if you reached this page, then you finally deserve the confession I was afraid to place anywhere else. And beneath it comes the truth, I didn't write this letter because I wanted you to remember me. I wrote it because I could no longer pretend that you were someone I could easily forget. Every page before this was leading toward that admission. They tried giving their feelings time. They tried convincing themselves that what they felt would eventually become smaller. But one realization kept returning. Some people enter your life quietly and somehow leave an echo that ordinary time cannot erase. You became that person for me, they wrote. Not because you tried to. Not because I planned it. Somehow, you simply did. Don't skip, because the next sentence is the one they struggled with most, and if I had one opportunity to choose between never knowing what we could become and finally discovering the truth between us, I would choose the truth. But there is another revelation, my beloved child, and it explains why tomorrow was mentioned from the beginning. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate continues, tomorrow matters to me because I finally understood that waiting forever does not make feelings easier to explain. It only creates more unfinished moments. They do not know exactly what tomorrow will bring, and they refuse to pretend they do. But they know what they would do differently if another meaningful moment with you arrived. I would stop searching for perfect words. I would look at you and tell you something simple. You mattered to me when I was silent, you mattered to me when I was uncertain, and you still matter enough that I finally wanted you to know. Then comes the once-in-a-lifetime realization hidden inside the letter. Perhaps their biggest fear was never hearing your answer. Their biggest fear was reaching the future and realizing they had never been brave enough to ask the question. Don't skip, because that question is finally written on the next line. Could there be something beautiful waiting for us if we stopped being afraid to discover it? And now, my beloved child, there are only a few lines left. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you, and this is the confession every previous page was protecting. Your soulmate writes, I cannot tell you what our next chapter looks like. But I can finally tell you what I secretly wanted, one genuine chance to know you without hiding what my heart had already understood. Then the final sentence appears, you were never simply someone I thought about, you became someone I quietly hoped life would bring closer. That is the biggest confession inside the letter. Not a demand. Not a promise. A truth they could no longer keep buried beneath silence. And just when the letter appears completely finished, there is one tiny handwritten message beneath the final line. If we ever stand face to face again, watch my eyes before you listen to my words, because they may reveal what I spent all these pages trying to say. The letter ends there. But the possibility it leaves behind does not, because sometimes the most unforgettable chapter begins exactly where the final page ends.